So I've shown you my bracket plenty of times. The bracket I filled out the day before the postseason started, and today we're just going to be talking about the Fall Classic. The World Series is upon us finally. One more sleep, as they say. By this time tomorrow, both teams will be at the stadium. Both teams will be preparing for a 5 o'clock first pitch, Pacific Standard Time, that is. And there's just a ton of storylines heading into the series. Um, One way to look at it: Yankees, Dodgers, New York, Los Angeles, the two biggest markets in the country, two of the biggest brands in the history of baseball and in the history of sports, honestly, especially for the Yankees. But this felt like a collision course that was overdue many years. The Dodgers are perennially making deep runs in the postseason. The Yankees are perennially in the postseason as well. This is the first time they kind of break through to the World Series. The Dodgers have been there 4 out of the past 8 seasons, give them credit for that. But it felt like 2017, this was a real possibility. And then once again in 2019, 2022, it never quite materialized like it did this year. So I think we have a treat on our hands. Baseball fans in general, if they can get over the complaints about the two highest payrolls or two of the highest payrolls in the entire league, the narrative of buying championships, it happens. I'm not going to knock an owner, especially of a big market team, for going out there and spending his hard-earned money on players and improving his roster. I think that's just part of the game. Every single owner in the major leagues has deep pockets. They have the ability to do this, but um, it just comes down to, do they want it? I think the Dodgers ownership has clearly proven that they want it more, or more than any other owner in the league. They constantly cut huge checks. This past offseason spent north of $1 billion on Yamamoto and Ohtani. So I'm not going to knock them for that. And finally, we have a clash of titans, as they say. The Dodgers won 98 games. The Yankees won 94 games. Both teams were the one seed in the AL and the NL, respectively. I'm going to start off just by counting the amount of future Hall of Famers I think are playing in the series. I'm not sure entirely if Clayton Kershaw is going to be on the roster for the Dodgers. I assume he won't be because he just won't see the mound at all. But he's involved. He's been involved throughout the whole season, throughout the playoffs as well. Absolute first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, Clayton Kershaw. That's the first Hall of Famer. And then we go to guys. Let's start off with the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani, not quite at the 10-year service time requirement yet, but he will absolutely get there, and he's absolutely going to be a Hall of Famer, first ballot as well, transforming the way we see and talk about the game. Mookie Betts, look at his resume: 2018 MVP, 2018 World Series champion. That's an all-time great team. Looking at it objectively, the product they were on the field, those Boston Red Sox, an all-time great team. You can talk a little bit about the smartwatches or whatnot, some of those controversies that are kind of coming to light about the Red Sox, but you can't really take any credit away from Mookie Betts. He's been a really great player for a long time, and he still has some runway. He's going to continue to add to his stats um, with the Dodgers, and Mookie Betts, absolutely perennial all-star Hall of Fame talent. So that's three right there. And then Freddie Freeman, 2021 World Series champion. Did he win the MVP in the COVID year 2020? I think he did. All-time great player as well. First baseman, anchor for the Atlanta Braves for over a decade. Great left-handed hitter, great defensive first baseman as well. Hall of Famer, Freddie Freeman. So that's four. And then we look at the New York Yankees. Aaron Judge. That's easy. First ballot. 60 homers, 62 homers. Um, yeah, all-time American League record for home runs in a season, Aaron Judge. Juan Soto, he's tracking to be an absolute Hall of Famer. I don't even think um, it's going to be that close by the time it's said and done. He just has so many years left, and the things he's already done, he has a chance by the end of the series to be a two-time World Series champion by the time he's hit free agency, which is extraordinary. So we have a total of 6 Hall of Famers there. And then you add Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole finally got his Cy Young last year in 2023. He earned the hell out of that, like multiple top 2, top 3, top 5 finishes in the Cy Young. and just really great years in Pittsburgh and really great years in Houston. He's adding to that resume here with the Yankees. Tons of strikeouts, a lot of swing and miss. He's won a lot of games, and if he can add a World Series to that, he's gonna that's gonna strengthen his resume a ton. And then obviously got the Cy Young Award as well. We're up to 7 Hall of Famers there. And then most likely this one is going to be close, but I'm confident it's going to be Giancarlo Stanton. He will one day find himself in Cooperstown. By the time it's said and done, I know he's winding down on his career. He's 34 years old at this point. Um, he's going to have 500 homers. I think there's little debate about that. The postseason prowess speaks for itself, especially in this postseason against Cleveland, what he's been able to do. But Stanton has always been a guy that, saves his best for the postseason late in the season, September, that pennant race. Just a guy that won an MVP in 2017 with a dominant year for the Marlins in the National League. His resume is far from over, but I think by the time he hits 500 home runs, like I think he will, it'll be undeniable that guy's a Hall of Famer as well. So I think we have 8 future Hall of Famers on our hands in this series between these two teams. I think that's pretty remarkable. Um, I think it's something that we have to enjoy as fans of the sport, especially if your team isn't in this. I think you still have to be a little bit appreciative of the amount of talent that's going to be on that diamond. Okay, so now let's talk about the series itself. How I expect it to play out. If you can see by this bracket here, I've picked against the Dodgers every step of the way. Tracking back to the NLDS against the Padres, who had them on the ropes. And then I picked against them in the NLCS. I picked the Mets to go to the World Series. Didn't happen there. And yeah, you guessed it. I'm going to pick against them again. And it's not so much about the Dodgers, but it's about the Yankees. I think um, I said this in a past video. The stars are aligned. It feels like everything has been put into place perfectly. The roster's healthy. Stanton clicking, Gleyber Torres at the top of the order is getting on base at will. Soto is an incredible postseason performer who is just stalking pitchers. It's hard to imagine a hitter being in the dominant position when a pitcher throws from a mound. He's the one throwing the projectile of the baseball, but somehow Juan Soto has the upper hand in literally every single at bat. And then Aaron Judge, who is still yet to click in this playoff. In these playoffs, he had a better series against the Cleveland Guardians than he did against the Royals, but he's too good of a hitter. He's too talented. Um, he carries too much thunder in his bat to think he's not going to be a factor in the series. So I think that 1 through 4, 1 through 5 of the Yankees, I'm going to give them the upper hand in that. And then looking at the Dodgers, I think Freddie Freeman's injury isn't getting talked about enough. I think they've been able to overcome that because of things like Tommy Edman. But, they're going to need Freddie. I don't know if his ankle's 100% right. I don't know if it's a knee thing, a hamstring thing that's also bugging him. But I think that's a really big presence that even if he is in that lineup, I don't think he's 100%. And that's something that the Dodgers are going to miss. I do expect Edman to cool down, but I'm going to give him credit. He's the kind of player teams want in the postseason, especially. The game slows down. You hear that a lot. Every pitch matters, but Tommy Edman is a guy that he can beat you in multiple ways. He can leave the yard, but that's not his MO. He can also get on base, spray the ball all over the field, hit the gaps. He's a threat on the base paths. He gives you good defense at shortstop. So give a ton of credit to the NLCS MVP, Tommy Edman. I think he's a great player. Teoscar was cold in the NLCS, and I think he'll stay cold. Um, Garrett Cole is going to be locked in. And then you have a lot of righty-righty matchups that are tough on him. Clark Schmidt with his cutter with the sinker bearing in on him. Sweeper away. I don't think that's a great matchup for Teoscar. Luis Gil is projected to get a start in this series, probably a game 4. He's a flamethrower. He's not an easy at-bat for anyone, so I don't love this spot for Teoscar. I don't think he's seen it well, and I expect that to continue. I expect a quiet series from him. Yeah, so lineup-wise, I'm going to give the Yankees credit. I'm going to give them the advantage 1 through 4 at least. And a big part of that is Gleyber Torres, like I've said. Um, Pitching wise, I think a lot has been said about the Dodgers' rotation and their woes and their lack of depth there, but um, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna look too far into the Yamamoto owning the Yankees after one start in mid-June. I don't think that's there's a ton there. Soto didn't play in that game. Alex Verdugo was like hitting second. That's just unbelievable. I don't know how Aaron Boone ever penciled him in the two spot. Yamamoto's a good pitcher. When he's attacking with the fastball and getting ahead of counts, he's that much better. He's a great pitcher, but I don't expect him to silence the Yankees batting order like he did that day. Um, Flaherty, he has a chance to be a real tone setter for this series in game one. I would have liked to give Walker Buehler a home start, maybe where he can be a little bit more comfortable. Um, but either way, I think it's a tough spot for Walker. Um, the fastball obviously doesn't have the juice anymore. He used to be a 98, 99 guy comfortably rolling out of bed. He could just hit that. Now he's more like 96, 97, and it takes a lot more out of him. You can tell after every pitch he's gasping. Um, yeah, still a good pitcher if he can locate. That's going to help him a ton. But tough spot for him. Tough spot for the Dodgers starting rotation. Bullpen. I think the bullpens are pretty even. If I had to lean one way, I'd go with the Dodgers just because I think they have a little bit more variety of arms. I don't love their lefties, but I think Trinan does things differently. Vesia does things differently. Um, Evan Phillips does things differently. And I think that there's not that much variation in the Yankees bullpen, even though it's still been pretty good. The addition of Nestor Cortez and Marcus Stroman, maybe in a little bit of a long roll out of the pen, eat up some innings, 2 to 3 innings at a time. That could be huge in a 7 game series. Luke Weaver's been exceptional. His MO is dot the fastball, filthy changeup off that. But if he falls behind, or if he falls into a predictable count like we saw against John Kenzie Noel, big Christmas against the Guardians in Game 3, um, he can be hit. He's been exceptional. I hope he continues that, but it's really about dotting that fastball in all four quadrants to start off those counts for Luke Weaver. Clay Holmes is very, very inconsistent up and down. I worry about him every time he takes the mound, especially when there's traffic. He's better against righties than he is lefties, but he can be a really big X factor because I have a ton of confidence in Luke Weaver and a ton of confidence in guys like Tommy Kahnle as well. Even Mark Leiter Jr. could proved that he could get big outs against the Guardians. So I think the bullpens are pretty evenly matched, but if I had to give the advantage to any one team, I'd go with the Dodgers in that case. The bottom of the order, I do give the advantage to the Dodgers as well. You know, Kike Hernandez is an unbelievable postseason performer. It can't be denied at this point. Not just with the Dodgers, but with the Red Sox and stuff like that. He turns into a different player in October. Um, Gavin Lux is a good player from the left-hand side. I'm not so sure if he's going to fare well in the World Series, but the bottom of the order does feel like it favors the Dodgers, especially considering Austin Wells has been ice cold for the Yankees. He started off the playoffs hitting in the cleanup spot, hitting fourth. His bat has gone completely silent, and you know he's going to be hitting seventh or eighth. Yeah. So with all that in mind, I'm going to go with the New York Yankees, and nothing different. I think this is uh, this is their moment. This is the time to seize this moment. They have all these players in their prime. Both teams are absolutely loaded, but I'm going to go with the Yankees. I've been with them since day one, and I don't think since day one of the regular season they've been my pick, and since day one of the postseason they've been my pick, and I don't have any reason to change that up now. If anything, I feel I feel better about that. In these playoffs, they're 7-2. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Dodgers are 7-4. Not a huge difference. The Yankees have played 9 games. The Dodgers have had to play 11. Not a huge difference there. They should both be well rested, but I think the better postseason run, the cleaner postseason run, not playing an elimination game yet, has belonged to the Yankees, and I expect that to continue. With that in mind, I'm going to go with the Yankees being unable to finish off the series at home, and I'm going to go with the Yankees in 6 games. Hard fought series. It doesn't feel like it gets away from them at all. I think they win game one. I think they win game three. And I think they win game five and game six. So, yeah, that's my prediction. I think the Yankees win their 28th title, and they're going to finish off the celebrations by inking Soto to a really long contract and then having really productive conversations with the agents of Roki Sasaki from Japan. Just another arm to add to the mix, and the Yankees are going to be loaded again. But first things first, let's go win the 28th World Series championship in the franchise's illustrious history starting tomorrow.